Now it's time for what you all have been waiting for. FTC Top 25. We've got 25 awesome teams that have played Ultimate Goal. To be eligible, teams had to have an uncensored match video of their robot playing Ultimate Goal, regardless of whether it was a remote or traditional competition. There were teams that we had to disqualify, including the current world record holder, stats.org, 3101, because they did not have a match video uploaded.
Giving you a voice,
making it loud our own way.
Welcome to the fun.
We would like to thank our friends at Stryker for supporting Fun so we can continue to make content for you. Stryker makes some of the most revolutionary medical equipment and is a big supporter of FIRST and its participants. If you are looking for an internship or career that supports you being in FIRST, check out careers.stryker.com to learn more. You can also directly support Fun by joining Fun Nation. Click the join button, and just for a few bucks a month, you'll unlock special perks and directly support us so we can keep making great content.
So with that being said, Abbas, take it away with number 25.
Sure. So starting us off in 25th place is Team 15005, Technophobia from East Peoria, Illinois. Currently ranked 6th in Illinois, they have a high score of 243 with an average of 13 rings per match in the high goal, featuring a fold-down intake, path-through design, and quick stack knocking mechanism in auto. Maybe it was just in passive system as part of their robot. It looks like Technophobia will be performing very well in the Illinois tournament once they speed up their indexer. You guys have anything to add?
Yeah, they've been on this list, I think, every top 25 we've done this year. They got that robot built real quick, and so they've had a lot of time to tune it and make it better, and they're definitely improving on their scores. So really exciting to see what they're going to be doing with it next.
I mean, their intake is really quick. I think just once they speed up that indexing, it'll be a really, really good robot, more than it already is.
Yep. All right, Brooks, want to go to 24?
Of course. And 24th is Team 12535, Revolutionary Robotics from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Their robot has an excellent black and blue color scheme. It appears to be well put together too. However, they do have many issues, such as a highly inaccurate shooter and only a 2 wobble goal auto, and an intake that is prone to jamming. However, I did appreciate their wobble mechanism with a blue tube going to their claw, which looked quite nice to me. They do have more tweaking to do before they can be very effective. But with the great cohesiveness of the robot, they might be up for the task.
Yeah, I know you mentioned using like a blue tube over the wobble goal mechanism. I think our team's also found that like having some grippy material over the wobble goal really helps with grabbing it. I know I've seen other teams use like rubber bands, and it's definitely a move this year.
Yeah, overall, their intake seemed to be working really well. I do want to see if they can get that shooter working a little bit better.
Sure.
All right. In the 23rd spot, we have Team 12533, Inception from Austin, Texas. This team's got a simple but efficient robot that's able to effortlessly score rings in the high goal. Their single-wheel flywheel and front intake lets them intake and shoot rings quickly. So far, their highest score has been 297 points with the 4-ring starter stack. I was surprised it wasn't a little bit higher because of how fast they were shooting. I think they did have a couple of jamming problems, and they did have some autonomous issues, but they're a solid team to contend with, and they've got a very simple bot. Like if you look at their bot, it's a classic go build a bot that most teams have the capabilities of building, but they're really good at driving it and just making sure that they get the rings in front of them and shooting efficiently. What do you guys think?
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, you really covered it with the simple go build a bot, and I know Texas is definitely not an easy state to advance from. So I'm sure they'll be turning up their competition for coming meets.
Yeah, very nice robot. Again, you can just see them shooting and shooting. I really like how in endgame, where they shoot, it's from way to the side of the field to kind of, I guess, try their best to get hit 2 and 1, which I thought was pretty cool. That was pretty unique about their bot. They shoot power shots from way across the field.
Yeah. All right. So now in 22nd, meet Team 12754, Wired Up from Denver, Iowa. Wired Up looks to be scoring around 220 points per match with a very consistent 3-ring high shot autonomous and 20 rings in teleop. I'm not sure if they can hit the power shots, as they never scored them in auto or endgame at their latest meet. So, with adding those to their scores, they'll definitely be hitting the 300s, maybe even higher with a little bit of practice. But I think 20 rings is a pretty solid spot right now for 22nd in our rankings.
Yeah, overall solid bot here. I like their orange color scheme. I think they have a custom painted plate there. Again, a simple go builder. They have decided to bring the rings up behind them. So a little bit of an innovative mechanism there for the feeding, but their intake seems to be picking the rings really well off the field. I would be interested in human players. I've seen in a lot of these matches, they don't put all 10 rings on the
As soon as they can.
as soon as they get them. And
Right.
so that should be a penalty. We've seen a lot of teams do that. And so I'm interested in how it's going to progress and whether they're going to find out about that. But
Sure.
overall, still a solid bot. And I think even with 10 rings on the field, releasing them as soon as they get them, they would be very competitive bot.
Definitely.
All right, in the 21st spot is Team 4250, the Lightsabers from Oklahoma City. They've got a really cool intake mechanism where their entire ring hopper lowers to scoop rings off the ground, and then it rotates up to aim and shoot rings. Their shooter is pretty consistent. They can score the power shots with ease. They hit 3 real quick, bam, 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 but it looks like they've got a corrugated cardboard intake sort of mechanism that rotates all the way up, and that also acts as its hopper, and then it shoots the rings out the side. So definitely one of the more unique robots that we've seen here today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a little skeptical of the efficiency of that type of funneling or transferring for the intake and long term. But there definitely is a lot of months going into states and even worlds. So I think they'll definitely have some time to come up with a really efficient system.
Yeah, I thought a lot of things on this row were pretty big brain. For one in autonomous, they kind of do like a pseudo dual intake and auto where they back up into the third ring and it goes under the belly pan. They lift up their thing and then intake. So they intake from the back without a second intake actually. And then if I guess
That's
you just saw
cool.
it there, they rotate the woggles 180
Yeah.
degrees too, so they don't have to turn. I thought it was pretty cool. But again, they do have some inefficiencies there.
One of the things that I'm worried about with a lot of these robots, we're going to see a couple more coming up later tonight, is they're very low to the ground. And watching a couple of the Chesapeake matches, I definitely saw robots blocking their partner shooting rings by accident because they were just so tall. And if they were collecting rings in front of their partner, then they would block the shot. And so I think a strategy that's going to come out against these robots is just put a ring in front of, or put a robot in front of the other robot that stops all their shooting, and then you can shoot as much as you want, and you're good to go. So we'll have to see how that goes for in-person events.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting. I know with Barker Graybacks, when we interviewed them last week or 2 weeks ago, they were saying because of the other teams they had, they were able to practice and realize lining up all the way against the wall every time is really going to help them in physical competitions. So I guess we'll see more of that strategy in the coming months.
Yeah. I'll move on to number 20. 20th goes to team 10641, the Atomic Gears from Shawnee, Oklahoma. From the outside, it is a little tricky to spot gray metal on their bot, which is definitely a good thing. And the LEDs are nice touch as well, too. Again, the already great-looking robot. Here in this match, they score 25 rings in driver control with a full endgame for a super solid teleop. What I saw very interesting about them was their strategy of carrying the wobble at the back of their robot like a train and grabbing from the base of the wobble instead of the throat, which I thought was pretty unique. Again, one of the few robots that have an actual slide to raise their wobble.
Yeah, Atomic Gears just every single year, beautiful bots, full carbon fiber, really custom. I mean, can't get much better looking than that. And I think it's really interesting. If I'm not wrong, I believe Lightsabers and Atomic Gears are ranked one after another in Oklahoma, and there's 0.1 OPR points differentiating them. So somewhere in their matches, somebody scored 0.6 more points, and I guess that decided the Oklahoma rankings. So I thought that was a little funny.
Yeah, I mean, overall, a super well optimized robot. One of the things that I think really sticks out for them is their drivetrain. right? They're able to drive real quick, and they're using the old Go Build a Mecanum wheels, not something that we're seeing a lot of this year, especially since teams are transitioning over to either using Nexus or using the new Go Build a wheels due to their new light compact size. But they're still able to be quick on the field with those heavy wheels. So pushing power out of that, especially if they go to in-person, could set them up to be real good if in-person happens.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm just excited to see, how much better they make their robot look. Okay, let's move on to the teams. So in 19th place, we have team 12538, Eborg Robotics from East Hanover, New Jersey. At their latest showing, Eborg Robotics averaged higher than the base perfect 85-point autonomous, and they have a very interesting design where it seems that the shooter and magazine for the rings both move to meet in the middle. Theoretically, that is definitely more efficient. I guess I'm just a little worried about, the stability of their shooter as a whole, but it looks to be working for them. Currently, they're averaging 14 rings in teleop, but I'm sure we'll see even more in upcoming competitions. Any thoughts, guys?
Eborg's one of
that shooter is just fast.
Yeah, the stability of the shooter, I might have already mentioned, it does wobble a little bit, but they do seem to have it done pretty well. And also, when the fuel rods start shoot, like really to the left of the field there, you don't see that too much, I don't think.
Yeah, one of the strategies that they look like they're doing is they like to stay in one place, even if that means shooting at an angle. A lot of these remote events, we've seen teams shoot straight on because it's easy to line up. But especially when shooting in person, if one robot's shooting in straight on, then the other robot's going to have to shoot at an angle. So they're going to be prepared for that. I've played with these guys a lot. I think their first year was Relic Recovery, and I played against them at the East Super Regional and played against them in Rover Ruckus as well. So really solid team. Can't wait to see how they do coming up.
Definitely.
So in the 18th spot, we have team 14320, Antidote from New Albany, Ohio. Side note, this was a team that I mentored in my rookie year, so it's awesome to see them make this list. Really cool. Congrats, guys. They've got a really compact and small robot with an awesome blue color scheme. Their front intake bot that is really low to the ground. They're able to shoot a lot, but don't have a wobble gun mechanism, which I found was kind of weird. They're one of the fastest shooters that I've ever seen for this game, but they just didn't have a wobble goal mechanism, and they didn't try for power shots. They were still able to score 275 points, which is really high considering you don't have an end game. So if they can add those two things, I think they're going to be set for it. Like when the spot loads up, you'll see how fast of a robot they are, but they are one of those low robots. Have you guys seen them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have. Definitely, you hit it right on the nail with the color scheme. Beautiful. And, they not just in their robot, but they carry it everywhere with them. Their Promote, Compass, all of their other videos, just really incredibly well done. And, I think there might be a point for the wall wiggle. In physical competitions, you should probably at higher levels be able to expect that your partner can probably do it. I know in Relic Recovery, like Vulcan Robotics at Houston Worlds, they didn't have a relic grabber mechanism. They just expected that their partner would do it every time. And it worked well for them. They cycled really, really quickly for the crypto boxes. And Antidote might be going for a similar strategy for that now, or maybe they just didn't have enough time to build the wall local mechanism.
Yeah, looking at their shooter, they've got a 2-motor shooter. It looks like they're using a 2-inch wheel, something that we aren't seeing much of, but could be a valid strategy going forward. But again, I'm worried about being such a low shooter. I think blocking those shots is going to be really easy. And so even though they're light and quick, I put a robot in front of them and they're shut down for the rest of the match. So we'll have to see how that comes out. Want to talk about the 17th seed, Brooks?
Of course. In 17th is team 18190, the Tigabots from Raleigh, North Carolina. Here in their reveal, what stands out to me is an excellent intake and transfer, as well as their ability to pivot their entire shooter, not to mention them showing off their 7-ring auto and fast power shot scoring.
We're going to see a lot of North Carolina teams on this list. They have become one of the most competitive regions in FTC, and that's definitely a breakout. In the past they've had Swift and Aperture Science take over, but now they've got teams like Tigabots and a couple of others we're going to see later that are really, really good. I also really like how they have their entire shooter on an angle. Some teams have implemented that, some teams haven't. But what it lets you do is in the future, right now, most teams haven't figured out how to do auto aim reliably. But in the future, when it comes to in-person events, and if you can shoot from anywhere, that's going to definitely make it a lot easier for you. But overall, solid robot. Really excited for them.
Yeah.
Great. In the number 16 spot, we have Team 516 Gears of Fire from Palm Harbor, Florida. They've got a reliable surgical tubing intake with a real quick shooter. They recently won the PowerShot Wizard Award in Florida Meet Celebration, so I'm sure we'll see some good auto scores from them next week. Overall, a solid bot. Looks a lot like 10435 Circuit Breakers with a narrow but very steep intake, and then it brings it around and picks it up real well. So really like the robot. Also, nice purple. Is that anodized or is that powder coated?
No, I just spray painted it.
Okay,
Yeah, I just
it's
spray painted it. Yeah.
Not even powder coat? Come on, boss.
No, just spray painted, and we recently changed our outside plates to white. So, well, I guess we might see something different this next meet.
Yep. Cool. Brooks, anything to add?
Oh yeah, totally. Like, just like amazing robot. Like you see how fast that shoots. Like I think Abbas said it was like 0.5 seconds, and
yeah, it's a little under half a second.
Yeah, that's incredible, and it's super accurate as well. Like I don't see those shots missing. Like again, like that's a super impressive robot, and I can only see the scores going like way up from here.
Yeah, this is the 1 year that teleop is equally weighted with autonomous at endgame, and so it used to be right. You get autonomous in endgame, and then your points don't go that much higher. But this year, it's what 10 rings makes the difference between like 300 and 360.
Mm-hmm.
And autonomous makes the difference. If you get 4-ring auto, that makes the difference between that's 48 points that you could potentially get. So you could get 100-point swing just from those two things. So very interesting to see how teams improve. We've definitely seen an exponential growth from a lot of teams.
Yeah, and I think especially this year, like programming is really prevalent both in autonomous and teleop as well. You were talking about the auto aim earlier. I can't wait until we see more teams with the auto aim. Not just turrets, but just using their drivetrains for auto aim. I think it's going to be really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. All right, then. I'll get into 15th. The team in 15th is Nuts from Cincinnati, Ohio. The video of this, the Nuts, shows them getting their score of 340 points from the most recent league meet, in which they show off a great autonomous and many finely tuned robot features. For one, you can get a good look in auto that their intake and transfer is crazy fast, and their shooter is one of the most accurate on this list. They also employ the strategy of blocking rings coming from the return rack, and we almost never see them turn around to get rings from the back, which likely helps with their cycle times too. Very incredible team. I was very impressed.
No, yeah. I mean, I think you really, about the intake in auto, that was really awesome how they just spit out the fourth ring before possessing it. And they had the other three, it was fast enough to get all three and still spit out the fourth. I think that was pretty cool. And definitely a shooter, super fast, and blocking the rings definitely helped a lot in Teleo.
By the way, I just want to chime in. I looked at the etymology of this name and like why it's called the Nuts. Apparently, they're from Walnut Hills and Walnut Hills High School, so that makes a little bit of sense. But I do like the team name. I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah. So speaking of North Carolina, in 14th is Team 7083, the Tundra Bots from Raleigh, North Carolina. This isn't the first time we've seen this super clean bot on our top 25, and I'm sure it won't be the last either. Looks like they just broke the 300-point barrier this past week and are averaging in the 240s with 8 cycles per match. Just awesome. And also that has to be one of definitely the cleanest bots I've seen this season. I know, like last top 25, we saw them far away on like the Aperture stream with like 4 other bots, but now seeing it really up close and good resolution, it's just even better.
Yeah, they've definitely changed their roads over time. I remember them being on the original top 25 with a super low Go-Build-A bot, and this definitely speaks to like they're like really going with optimizing everything. It's a completely different looking robot, and again, it's really good.
That intake is really fast.
Yeah. All right. In 13th is Team 9113 Need for Speed from Lake Forest, Illinois. Their high score is 352, in which they came so close to an amazing score of 372, but unfortunately it took a fourth rank by accident in autonomous. The Teliop performance was fantastic though, with their refined mechanisms playing the game excellently. Their intake and shooter was still some of the best with fast times at both ends. An endgame has to be my favorite power shot method so far of banging into the side of the wall to line up your odometry and having a program knock down all the power shots super fast. It was really cool to see that.
Yeah, I mean, their endgame program was just incredibly fast. Just line up and then bang, bang, bang. They got them all. I think Need for Speed is like the fastest shooter I've seen this season. They put out 2 YouTube videos on their channel of them shooting like 3 rings in 0.262 seconds or something like that. And that's really, really fast. And, earlier in the season, we also saw the 128 point auto from them a couple times. And, they're just really strong team this whole season so far. I'm sure they're just going to get better. Okay, leading us to 12th. In 12th, we have Team Firo Eagles, again from Shelby, North Carolina. And the last time they competed was early February. And except what looks like one disconnect, they were consistently scoring, in the high 200s to 300s. They definitely have one of the quietest spots this year with no gears in their shooter motor. And I mean, every time all you heard was just the rings just dropping into the high goal and very smooth driving all around, resulting in an average Teliop score of just over 6 cycles. But definitely really consistent auto, really consistent end game, and that led to their high scores all around. So another competitive North Carolina team that we're seeing this year.
Yeah, they've definitely been at it for a while. Again, one of the very first impressive robots, and like quiet equals more efficient, right? So technically, this is like one of the most efficient robots.
I guess so.
Yeah, so again, just very impressive performance from them. And they do the same thing where they bounce into the wall and then it lines himself up. Not as fast as Need for Speed, but it looks like it was pretty accurate. I think that might be a development we keep seeing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, teams are making these methods for their autonomouses, hopefully. So it shouldn't be too difficult to carry them over to Teliop.
Yeah, they were the first ones to set like a world record that actually mattered. I think it was like 250 points. They beat out Gluten Free. Yes, everybody's beating out Gluten Free this year. It's a miracle. But I think it's great that they're able to improve. And that's one of the things that you're going to get out of this game is driver practice can really make your bot go from good to being great. So awesome that they made the list.
Yeah.
All right. Just missing out on the top 10 is Team 9794 Wizards.exe from Rockville, Maryland. Seeing the route for the first time is quite an experience because of just how unique it is. They have dual intakes and a wobble goal grabber that carefully stows the wobble goal for endgame to reduce time anywhere they can. They are also one of the few teams that got the chance to play with another bot on the field, where they shot a little to the right to both block incoming rings and allow for the partner to get an easier spot to shoot from. I'm sure Ishan can definitely talk a bit more than I could about their impressive bot this season.
Yeah, I have watched all of their matches. They are really happy with their robot and the fact that they were able to implement a dual-sided intake, but they are getting jams on it. So that's one of the things that they're working to improve on. I think in the world record match, which is being shown right now, they hit 330. It was actually supposed to be like 324 if it was scored right. They scored an extra ring by accident. But they definitely are struggling playing in person just because you have another bot on the field. They're able to score a little bit higher when they're at home. So that's definitely something that I think is going to be a rough transition. If Worlds does happen to be in person, playing in person for a team that's been playing remote their entire year is going to be tough. So we'll have to see how that shuffles out. Other than that, really hoping that they can pull off something cool for States, which is in 2 weeks for Chesapeake.
Hey, Sean, do you know if, or do you guys have any like sister teams or anything like that? I know you guys mentor a bunch of teams, so.
Yeah, so there is a sister team to Wizards.exe, team 17080, Newt.exe. They are a more rookie team. They build Actobotics or Go Build a Robots, averaging around 150 to 175 points this year. They have not qualified for the state championship yet, but they've got one more shot this weekend.
We would like to thank our friends at Stryker for supporting this video. Stryker is looking for current and future FIRST alumni to join their internship program, and FIRST mentors who are looking for a great career with a company who actually supports their FIRST journey. Go to careers.stryker.com to learn more. You can also directly support Fun by joining Fun Nation. Click the join button, and just for a few bucks a month, you'll unlock special perks and directly support us so we can keep making great content. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on our new videos. Keep the conversation going and provide your input to our content. Watch our live shows at twitch.tv/firstupdatesnow. Join our Discord at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow. And check out Fun FTC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and First Updates Now on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.